everyone, Charis here, and I am chilling with the beautiful red rocks of Sedona. I think you can see a couple of them behind me, and when I'm done talking, I'll take the camera and move it around so you guys can see the amazingness that is this place. There are different power spots all over the world. Some of them we know about, some of them we don't. Some of them are kind of covert and under the radar. Some of them are really famous. All of nature has its power, but there are certain places where things are amped up for whatever reason. There are probably a few reasons, and Sedona is definitely one of them. Everyone said to me before I came here, just so you know, when you go, everything's going to get brought up for you to look at, heal, whatever. And I was like, I'm down. Great. And that's happening here. And the energy is so interesting. And my intention, of course, in this video, as always, when I'm out in some random awesome nature spot, is to imbue the video with what I'm experiencing, what the energy here holds, so that you guys watching it can have a micro experience that's big enough to affect you in a beneficial way and provide you catalysts for healing, but not necessarily disrupt your world with discomfort or too much intensity, because, like, you know, it could be really intense here. So I'd like to tell you about what happened to me. So last June, when I was on this crazy road trip that I went on, which definitely made itself, I did not necessarily plan to do it, but for the couple weeks preceding the road trip, all of this information came and all of these invitations came where people in certain parts of the country, where my friends were inviting me to come and visit, and I was like, I'm going to be there that time. So it ended up being this really interesting, convoluted drive up and down the West Coast. And during that road trip, I got a death option. What is a death option? I've gotten them a few times over the course of my adult life. About half the time, it's when I'm driving. It's when I'm on a road trip someplace. And each of our incarnations, you know, we have an infinite amount of experiences that we can have in any given lifetime. There are always versions of us doing different things than what we're doing, and that's how you manifest. You move your vibration closer to the version of you doing the things that you would want to do, which already exists. You know, like right now, there is a perfect earth somewhere that's already utopian, and all the water is clean and everybody is peaceful. We just have to get there by affecting our vibration. Anyway, so I got a death option, and what happened was a being, you know, one of my guides, came into my mind and said, would you like to exit? Would you like to be done with this lifetime? And all the other times when I've gotten that death option before, I've always gone into fear and said, no, 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 no. The first time it happened, I was driving from my college in Florida to my home in Virginia several years ago. And they asked me if I would like to die by showing me a picture, mental image of my car mangled with this great big transfer truck, and kind of feeling like, would you like to take this exit route? And at the time, I was like, no. But this time, I started to say no, and then I thought about it non-dualistically, as best I could, without judgment or preconceived notions of what that would mean. And I said, well, you know, I do mediumship work, so I know that there's stuff going on the other side of the veil. However, I don't know exactly what happens. So I asked, well, I don't know what I would be giving up. Would that be better? Would that be more beneficial to me and to others if I were to exit now? I really don't know. And they didn't answer me. There was silence for a moment. And then they said something along the lines of, Charis, when do you ever give up a chance for expansion? Which is not really an answer, but it kind of is. And so I thought about it and I said, well, fine. I will choose whatever the best thing is for myself and everybody else. So within about 15 minutes, I heard the song on the radio. I'm sure some of you guys know the song. I don't know the name of it, but it's a country song. It's kind of new, and it's this girl underneath her house in her tornado cellar praying the tornado come and essentially wash away her crappy life, right? And that song came on, and I had been in a spot in my life over the past couple months where I was not moving as quickly as I would like to because of decisions I and others around me had made. So I knew that song was for me. I could feel it because I'd never heard it before. You know, this is how synchronicity works. I know that the song plays for other people too. But for whatever reason, it really rang for me. And then within about 5 minutes after that, there was a huge tornado right next to the road. It wasn't strong. It was essentially a dust devil, but it was gigantic. It went all the way up to the sky. And I knew that in a slightly different dimension, that had just taken me out. that in a slightly different time stream it had been super strong and I was out. And that's happened to me before. I think it happens to everyone. I think that everybody has these death and rebirth things that happen over the course of their lifetime because, like I've said in other videos, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they essentially say, we cannot stress to you how much, from the perspective of the person who has died, it does not seem like any death has occurred. So, I don't think that's always true. You know, some people do the white light, go with the life review, and that happens, but also I think it happens the other way, and you just move from life to life without necessarily being aware that you just did that because you didn't do it everywhere. You just kind of hopped on one of your other time streams. So, one way to experience this is if you have a dream of dying and then you wake up in your bed. I've had that a few times, and I know that all of them weren't dreams. I can remember exactly the physical sensations of the things that were happening in it. The moment of death, I woke up in my bed and realized that something was odd. And what always happens after these two is your life will drastically change after you have a death and rebirth. So this time, it did drastically change. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, everything completely shifted. And now here I am in Sedona. And this is still part of it. There's also the Bardo, you know. It's an interesting thing to research. I'm not going to tell you all about the Bardo because this video would be way too long, but it's spelled B-A-R-D-O. And it's essentially, in some cultures, the thing that you go through after you die, kind of a test to see if you attained all the stuff that you were here to attain. And so you keep getting these challenges and you keep getting these assessments from guides and from just the universe to see whether or not you've tempered the way that you were supposed to in the fire of whatever incarnation you've just come out of. That is the first helicopter I've heard since I've been here in Sedona. I've seen other ones, but I don't know, I guess it's contributing something to the video. Anyway, so I am aware that there is some type of Bardo experience happening right now for me because I'm getting tested in these really weird ways that I never have before. And I've been trying to figure out what the energy of Sedona does. And I finally figured it out walking here to record this morning, that what's happening to me, at least in Sedona, and so again, my intention is that this happened to you a little bit through the codes coming in through this video in a way that feels nice and is not necessarily that disruptive, to the level that you can handle it peacefully and appropriately. It's like when you are hand washing a garment, what is happening to me. And you run it under the water, and you fill it with soap, and you fill it with water, and then you wring it. And you wring it, and you wring all the water and soap out, and then you fill it with water again, and then you wring it. And since water is the representation physically of the energy of emotion, that's definitely happening to me. I'll get filled up with this random emotion, which may have a link to something that's happening in my life currently, may not, often doesn't, but kind of vectors in by some tiny little thing that can set it off, but is really a cord that's holding me from some experience from a long time ago that I have not yet integrated. I'll get filled up with it. I'll go through this moment of kind of like internal writhing and gritting kind of thing. And then I come back to this space of power, stillness, serenity, awareness of divine beingness, that kind of thing. And then it'll happen again, mostly several times in the course of a day. So Sedona is like wringing out and washing my soul, my spirit. And it's very intense. And I would highly recommend it if you're down for that kind of thing. But it is not a game to play. And so, well, I mean, everything's a game to play, but you know what I mean. It's not so easy as some other things may be. But because everyone cannot necessarily get on a plane or hop on a car, I guess, and go to Sedona, I was asking before I started recording this video how to tell you guys to get the same kind of energy going outside wherever you are. And what I was told was that you find the spot in nature that resonates with you the most. I mean, this is just, I'm walking from a house that I'm renting right now, and I just kind of found this spot, right? You will feel where you're supposed to go. It's almost like if you go outside and clear your mind and say, okay, I would like to find a spot to meditate and clear and do whatever I've got to do, if it's creative work or if it's manifestation or if it's just grounding or healing or whatever it is that you want, then it will feel like your water flowing in a certain direction. Once I hit the driveway, I thought I was going to go right, but instead I could feel myself kind of flowing and I went left. And a funny little aside to that is that's also how I direct Lilithia, my cat. If she's stuck up in a tree, which has happened, I telepath her down by like flowing her down the branches that she should come on, and she totally just does it. And so that's how our guides telepath us how to get out from being stuck in the tree. So you walk or drive or whatever until you find a spot that just gets some kind of heartstring resonating in you. like a violin, like you pluck a violin, right? And so, I mean, that's not how you play a violin, but if you were to pluck the string of a violin, that resonance, that thing that you feel, that like it's a tone, but it's actually a vibration without perceptible auditory capabilities, aspects, you know what I'm trying to say. And then you follow it, and then you go and you sit there and you intend this happen, and you open up your sensory system and you just relax and you say, can you guys meaning my guides, come and cleanse me and help me. And if it's in nature, and if it's in pristine nature especially, because you could do this in a garden, but I think that this particular thing is better done in a place where the ecosystem has created the nature, where a seed has sprouted because the morphogenetic field in that area was conducive to the seed sprouting, not because a human decided, I'm going to clear out that area and plant this plant and make it grow. Because what you're wanting to do is access the consciousness of nature, which will wash you out like that, but it's a little bit harder to do if you're in a man-made spot. It can probably still be done, but if you want it to be super powerful, I would go out to a pristine nature spot. And it might not look like this. It might not look like a lush forest. It might not look like a beautiful field brimming with wildflowers. Just go with whatever resonates with you. And what you'll find is that different things will resonate with you at different times, very likely. I mean, this is not my usually preferred nature spot, Sedona. It's desert and it's lots of rocks. And usually I like lush greenery all around me. But I love it here. It's super cool. So being non-dualistic, non-judgmental about what you need and just going with it because you're feeling it. So I'm done jabbering at you. Let me see if I can show you where I am because it's super beautiful. Okay, so this is the little basin kind of that I find myself in. And just so you can see, that's the cathedral rock over there, I believe. It's a really famous vortex point here in Sedona. And there are lots of other things around, lots of other rocks and such. So yeah. That's what's going on here. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope that you are maintaining through the end of summer. We have a lot of things coming up this fall, I think, as far as personal development goes, which is always an adventure. So hopefully y'all are navigating it as well as you possibly can and reaping the blessings as well as undergoing the challenges. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Go in peace, and I will talk to you again very soon.